The snow fell silently over Pyongyang, muffling the world in a blanket of white. In a city where shadows had ears and walls had eyes, Min-jun and Ji-hoon had found a sliver of warmth in each other. They were both 22, workers at a state textile factory. Their days were filled with the rhythmic clatter of machines and the constant hum of propaganda speakers. But their nights belonged to them. They met in the blind spots of the surveillance grid, behind the old storage depot where the streetlights flickered and died. There were no grand gestures, no public displays of affection. In the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, their love was not just taboo, it was a crime against the state, a deviation from the collective purity demanded by the regime. Homosexuality was erased from public discourse, treated as a bourgeois sickness that did not exist in the perfect society. But it existed here, in the space between their breathing. "Do you think anyone saw us?" Ji-hoon whispered one night, his breath pluming in the freezing air. He pulled his collar up, his eyes darting toward the patrol cars that slowly cruised the boulevards. Min-jun reached out, gloved fingers brushing Ji-hoon's cheek. "As long as we are careful. As long as we have this." "This isn't enough," Ji-hoon said, his voice cracking. "I want to walk with you. I want to not look over my shoulder." One day, Min-jun lied, because it was the only comfort he could offer. The end came not with a scream, but with a knock. It was 3 in the morning. The door to Min-jun's apartment shook under the fist of the Ministry of State Security. They had been betrayed, perhaps by a neighbor seeking favor, perhaps by a camera hidden in the eaves. They were taken separately. Interrogation rooms were cold, lit by single bare bulbs that hummed like angry insects. They were not asked about spy rings or sabotage. They were asked about each other. They were asked to confess to moral corruption. They refused to deny their love, even when denial might have spared them. The decision came from the very top. In a regime where conformity was survival, their existence was deemed a threat to the social order. The Supreme Leader's office issued a directive: examples must be made. Deviance could not be tolerated. They were not given a public trial. There was no audience to witness their justice, only the cold steel of the courtyard where the execution squad waited. On the morning of their sentence, the sky was a bruised purple. Min-jun and Ji-hoon were brought out into the yard. They were bound, but the guards allowed them to stand close together. It was a small mercy, perhaps granted because the officers knew there was no escape, no hope. Ji-hoon leaned his head on Min-jun's shoulder. "I'm not afraid," he whispered. "Look at me," Min-jun said softly. "Only at me." They stood facing each other, ignoring the rifles being raised, ignoring the officers shouting commands. In that final moment, the state, the leader, the laws, and the snow faded away. There was only the brown of Ji-hoon's eyes and the warmth of Min-jun's hand squeezing his. The regime sought to erase them, to turn them into a cautionary tale whispered in fear. But as the order was given, they did not look at their executioners. They looked only at each other, holding onto the one truth the state could not confiscate. The snow continued to fall, covering the footprints they left behind, but for a brief moment in the dark history of the city, two boys had loved each other openly, and nothing could undo that.